Do you sometimes feel stressed? You can't keep your thoughts together? Being stressed can affect you deeply in both mind and emotion. So what can you do about it? Stay with me and I'll share some tips. Welcome to another edition of Hospitality Property School. I am your instructor, Jerry McPherson. Let me start by asking you a couple of questions. Are you feeling stressed? Does it feel like there are constant obstructions in your way? Does it seem like you have so much to do that you can't keep them straight? Do you feel like some insane existence is about to sabotage you by preventing your progress? In this podcast, I'm going to share some things to look for. But before I start, I want to encourage anyone who is feeling extremely stressed to check with their doctor. What is it like when you're feeling stressed? You can't keep your thoughts together. Every problem is huge. You feel overwhelmed, anxious, and have trouble sleeping. You might feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. Being stressed can affect you deeply in both mind and emotion. There's a really good chance that you would be hard-pressed to find someone in your life, including you, that wouldn't say they're stressed about something. And while stress sometimes can be good, it can help you conquer your fears or motivate you to get something done. When you're constantly in a state of tension and anxiety, it can have an effect on your body's physical and emotional state. I will look at 7 symptoms of stress and things you might be able to do about them. 1. You're constantly sick. It seems like every week you're feeling sick. If you continually have a cough, sore throat, or fever, you might want to blame your workload and not just your sneezing coworker. When we are under extreme pressure, our bodies secrete a stress hormone called cortisol that can help us short term. But if you're stressed out constantly, these hormones aren't as helpful and can become depleted over time. Cortisol and other hormones are components of the immune system, and though they help the body cope with stress, when these hormones are withdrawn, we become more susceptible to sickness. Stress can slow wound healing, contribute to the reactivation of a latent virus, and increase vulnerability for viral infections. What you should do: allow your body the time it needs to recover. Listen to your body. If you feel tired or drained, make time for rest and extra sleep. 2. If you're having trouble concentrating. When you're too overwhelmed to focus on what's in front of you, or you can't remember simple things like a coworker's name, it could be a sign that you're overworked. Studies have shown that long-term stress stimulates growth of proteins that might cause Alzheimer's. What you should do: if you can't focus or remember simple things during a workday, taking a few long inhales and exhales can help when faced with a high-pressure situation. Deep, even breathing not only affects whether or not our thoughts control us or we control them, but it also affects the body sensations that are experienced when faced with high-stress situations. 3. If you're experiencing throbbing or feel pressure anywhere on your head or temple area, there's a good chance it's a tension or stress headache, and your lifestyle might be to blame. What should you do? When stress is the cause of your headache, the easiest thing to say is, have less stress in your life. But that advice itself is stressful. Understanding your headache is coming from stress can be helpful therapy. People oftentimes feel worse worrying and trying to figure out what the cause could be. So knowing it's not some serious health problem might make a person feel better. Now keep in mind, if your head pain feels like a migraine headache, the worst headache of your life, or a headache that wakens you from your sleep, those are signs of a dangerous health problem, and you should visit your doctor immediately. Your back and neck are always hurting. If you've got a stiff neck, your lower back is cramped up after a long day of work, or knots in your shoulders, it could be due to your work or personal situation. High levels of stress and tension create discomfort and muscle pain by tightening muscles and causing muscle spasms, which could lead to headaches. What you should do? Many relaxation techniques can help with stress reduction, including taking deep breaths from the diaphragm, meditation, massages, and yoga. Devote time for stretching breaks throughout the day. 5. If you have trouble sleeping. If you're waking up and worrying or deliberating over things, it could be a sign of anxiety or depression. After a full day, sleep should come easy, and getting into bed a time you can shut off your brain and relax. If you feel tired but have a difficult time falling asleep, it's possible you have stress-related fatigue. What you should do? If this is a regular occurrence, talk to your doctor and discuss whether your chronic stress may have led to depression. If you're not sleeping well, everyday annoyances might make you feel even more overwhelmed and frustrated because you're more vulnerable. Cutting back on caffeine and alcoholic beverage and increasing your exercise can also improve your sleep patterns. 6. Your hair's starting to fall out. If you're waking up with more than a few strands on your pillow, you may be experiencing a medical condition called alopecia areata. This is an autoimmune skin condition brought on when the body's immune system attacks the hair follicles, causing small round patches of hair loss on the scalp. This is not dangerous, but it is likely connected with severe stress. This disease is more likely to occur in young women or adolescent girls. What you should do? This is usually a temporary condition, and your hair will grow back once the stress is minimized. Don't be afraid to call your doctor about what's going on. 7. You're getting urinary tract infections. If you don't take time for bathroom breaks, you could be putting yourself at risk for a urinary tract infection. When people are under increased stress or are working too hard, they sometimes put off going to the bathroom. But that could have huge risk factors. What should you do? Well, this one's a no-brainer. When you feel the urge to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. An uncomfortable urinary infection is going to feel way worse than those few minutes you spend trying to crank out your work. Did these make sense? Let me know by leaving a comment. Okay, now the next step you should consider is to make a plan and set goals. Most of us know how easy it is to make goals and to be able to see yourself meeting them. But the problem is actually doing it during the daily grind. So how do we overcome this problem? Well, you can start by taking some time and making a mind map. You can do this on your own or as a group in a brainstorming session. So what is a mind map? A mind map is a diagram which represents the thoughts and concepts beginning with a central idea. In order to start a mind map, you will need a whiteboard or a Bristol board, something big to write on. In the center of your board, write your main theme or idea. For example, hotel, bed and breakfast, resort. Then link the related ideas in words or drawings to it through branches. You can add secondary branches and as many sub-branches as necessary to reflect any ideas around the central thought. Keep adding until you cannot think of anything else. Mind maps are great. It encourages you and others to perform radiant thinking or creative thoughts, which is an effective method to improve your understanding and memory through visual illustration of information. Determine your priorities and deadlines, and then put them in a calendar. If you have projects you want to accomplish, determine when you want them completed, and work backwards to establish a realistic timeline, writing all the steps and elements you need to get there. Now you'll be able to see what has to be done, and it might not look as scary. Whenever you can, chunk or batch. Chunking is the process of dividing something into smaller pieces. You can chunk down a job or a project to make actionable steps, and batching, well, here, I'll give you an example of batching. If you're in the habit of sending out thank you cards to your guests for staying, instead of doing them one at a time, wait until you have a few you'd like to send and do them all together. This can be more effective and save you time. Another important thing to remember is when planning and setting goals, think long term and be patient. Remember the immortal words of Warren Buffett. No matter how great the talent or efforts, some things just take time. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Changing your habits. Don't worry about change. A renowned author once said, "Human beings are a creature of habit. It's amazing what we can get used to." Indeed, human beings today have acquired a habit of change, to consistently reinvent our everyday. Habits of thought and action are the fundamental blueprint of brain activity. With every habit we develop, our brains form neural connections that are repeated. Every time we do the same thing, these patterns are stimulated and strengthened. Now, to be clear, researchers highlight that changing old habits require replacing the routine but maintaining the same reward. For example, if you decide to replace your habit of using your laptop or phone before you go to sleep, identify the rewards you get from this behavior first. Your reward might be entertained after a long day of work. To maintain this reward of entertainment, I would replace the routine with another form of visual stimulus, like reading a book or a magazine or doing a crossword puzzle. This is a better habit, and by maintaining it regularly, you can train your brain to be equally satisfied. More about changing your goals into habits. Break down a bigger goal into a smaller habit. For example, if you want a healthier daily routine, it can be broken down into smaller, achievable habits. Drink warm water when you wake up. Go to sleep at 9:30 p.m. Walk around your property for 30 minutes. Focus on one habit, and once it is unconscious and automatic, move on to accommodating another habit. Don't spoil your habit. Consistency is key. Trying to change things every 2 weeks will motivate your restless mind to focus on the reward rather than the process. Mistakes are milestones. Don't be hard on yourself for minor setbacks in training your brain. Treat your mistakes like Google Maps treats them, by rerouting yourself. What's the next step? Do it. It's never too late to get on track with your goals. When you break goals into doable chunks and batch them whenever you can, it is much easier and more motivating to achieve them. Now, if you like this video, let me know in the comment section below your thoughts and if you're going to implement any of these procedures. You can support this free podcast by leaving us a review and giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you happen to be listening to it. Every review helps more people find the podcast at no cost to you. If you know someone who might benefit from this video, please feel free to share it and make sure to hit that like button. I appreciate the feedback. Be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell to be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you so much for your attention, and let's continue to work together to put heads in your beds. Until next time, have a fun day. We will see you next time, right here in Hospitality Property School.